So hello, my name is Maddie Alruna and I am a full-time tarot professional, rune expert and Norse shaman, as well as being a published author on both tarot and the runes. I wanted to share with you today how I managed to do back-to-back tarot readings. My average tarot reading is 50 minutes, so I can, in a regular working slot, do 3 50-minute tarot readings back-to-back, sometimes longer if that's the way I'm working, because I pay my bills through this. So I need to have practical ways to work long readings back to back without becoming exhausted. So the first thing I do is, before a reading, I will very often just take a few moments to either do a 3-card reading for myself, maybe a 3-card rune reading if I prefer. I might even just pull one card. This is an act of self-care. Wherever possible, because it doesn't always work, but wherever possible, I start every reading with just a few moments of personal reflection, self-care. Would be the Tower, wouldn't it? There's no sort of format to these cards. I tend to just pull 3 cards and sit with them, just giving the cards a chance to say whatever they want to say to me, and making sure that my needs are met first. Because I know from experience, I just feel curious, King of Cups, I know from experience that if I go into readings and I haven't met my own needs, then I begin to resent my client for having great boundaries and making sure their needs are met. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do, as much of my job relies on voice, is I have a large selection of Yeti mugs. They're my absolute favourites. I have big ones, small ones, and I always have a hot drink with me. It might be jasmine tea, it might be turmeric tea, it's probably a black coffee, because I need a hot drink to keep my throat nice and smooth. Also, as an intuitive and empathic, if my client has problems with their throat chakra, I'm likely to pick it up. So having a hot drink really, really helps me. Something I do that's very practical with every client is, at the start, just before the client arrives, I'm going to have a sheet of A5 paper. I will write the name of the client, their first name, or how they have introduced themselves to me, and the start and finish time of the session. And I always have a clock in view. In my Shepherd's Hut for in-person readings, I have a clock on the table. And just for Zoom and WhatsApp readings, I have a clock just above my screen. So because it is incredibly easy to forget the name of the person you're reading, and it's incredibly easy to get the time wrong. I do remember once, it was quite a few years ago now, a regular client brought his friend to me and said, oh, he's really in need of a reading. Just I'll pay for him to have a half-hour reading. We got really engrossed in the cards, and there was a very hesitant knock on, it was the caravan, then the caravan door, and this chap opened the door and said, is everything all right? And we were both like, yeah. And he said, we said half an hour and it's been 2 hours now. And it was like, oh. So time can disappear. So writing the time down, start and finish, and having a clock in view. And then in my mind, depending on whether it's 25 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, I have a sort of a wind down point in my mind. So I will have, as I look at the clock, I will be thinking, this is the point when I need to begin wrapping it up, making sure that they're comfortable with whatever's been said. If somebody's upset, I will bring that wrapping up time a bit a little bit sooner to give them time to kind of really integrate the work. But it stops me from overrunning and being anxious if I've got my time frames written down. And if I've got a busy day, I will have a set of these A5 pieces of paper with each of them with the name and the time frame. And so I can immediately see when is my next client due, who are they, and I don't have to worry about the organization of the day. Probably the most important thing I do is during a reading, and I do this for phone, WhatsApp, Zoom, even email, I mind map. So most clients, though they may want to start with a general reading, will then have something they want me to look at. It could be as generic as I feel lost, or it could be micro-specific. I've had it all. When people give me information, I mind map. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't want to be having your story in my short-term memory. So mind mapping it gives me a visual representation, allows me to quickly decide how to read for this, which spreads to use, what questions to use. It allows me to be fully present for you in your reading, but none of the information is going into my short or long-term memory. I do keep these, but I do not write judgments or full sentences or anything like that. If you come back fairly quickly, I can probably find it, but there's no guarantees, because some of them do go straight in the bin, not for any particular reason, just, if I'm clearing and they go in the bin, they go in the bin. But there's nothing identifiable here. There's no surnames, and it's literally going to be words like mother, rejected, childhood, trauma. There's going to be nothing that is meaningful to anyone else. And the honest answer is half the time I can't even read my handwriting. It is more a visual reference to me to keep my mind clear. Another thing that I'm very, very conscious of doing is my body posture. So when I'm doing Zoom readings, I have a very swanky chair. I sat in my friend's once and went, oh my God, I've got to have one of these. I can adjust the back. I can adjust the height. It swivels. It allows me to be quite flexible when I'm working. Great if I'm sitting down for long periods of time. But what I do is I make sure that my flat feet are flat on the floor, that my spine is upright and my crown is to the sky. This creates an axis mundi, a divine channel between the earth and the sky. And if I begin to feel tired or exhausted, it means that I am becoming ungrounded and I'm moving more into the crown, the third eye, and kind of empathic connection, which can be exhausting over long periods of time. So the minute I feel tired, I really focus on my feet and I focus on my breath and I ground myself. I breathe in through the soles of my feet. I breathe out to release stress. And the deepening of the grounding experience moves me from third eye, which can be quite draining and exhausting, to the crown, which means that I'm not directly connecting to you. If you're tired or headachy or upset, I'm not feeling that because I'm now connecting through the crown. So I still get the same level of intuitive wisdom. I just don't get the exhaustion that runs with it. I do use crystals. This is one of my favourites for my desk. It is a beautiful piece of fluorite that my son chose for me one year for my birthday. And it's perfect because I can it's almost like a mouse, like a computer mouse. Just fits my hands perfectly. I also love crystal rings, crystal jewellery. I use crystals. I do think they help me to maintain my energy levels. But the crystal is to help me. I don't cleanse my cards. As you can see, they are pretty battered. That's only because I just love the deck and I'm very comfortable with it. I mean, sometimes I will put a crystal on top of the deck at the end of the reading, particularly if I'm doing multiple readings. I quite often have people come to visit me, maybe 2, 3, 4, and they each want a 20-minute or a half-hour reading. I will then quite often place a crystal. Actually, it's another piece of fluorite. I do like my fluorites. I will quite often place a piece of crystal on the tarot deck. That is more of a reminder to me to ground and deconnect and pause, so there is a separation between the different readings. So personally, I think that if there is an energy block, it's to do with me, not the cards. I think the cards are simply a tool and I am the conduit. So if I do feel blocked or exhausted, as I've said, the first thing I'm going to do is check my posture, check my feet are flat on the floor, check that my shoulders are relaxed. I will breathe for a few moments and just check my posture. Often after a reading, I can be triggered by things that a client have said, because often, of course, people reach out to me in their worst moments, and I have to be calm and non-judgmental and hold a really safe container during the reading. So if I've had a busy day and I've worked with somebody and what they've said has impacted me, then I will journal that, and I will dialogue it with myself and get it out of my head. And I'm always grateful. I take the attitude of, thank you for hitting a wound so that I can work on that. And I try to see it as a blessing and something to be grateful for. And just like any other person, my working schedule can be exhausting. I love my job. It is true. I absolutely love my job. But, when you have to do something to earn a living and pay the bills, it can become stressful and it can become exhausting. So I try to make sure that my leisure activities are non-spiritual, because it would be easy to just get lost in this world, and that keeps me more balanced. But during a reading, the mind mapping, so that I'm not holding things in my head, keeping a clear note of start finish times so that I'm not becoming anxious about my time management, and really working on breath and body posture so that I am rooted, grounded, and working from the crown chakra rather than the third eye, allow me to work sometimes, quite long hours, doing back-to-back readings and shaman healings. I hope that's helped. If there's something you'd like me to cover in a video, do pop a comment in the video if there's a card or a problem, if it's connected to tarot, runes or shamanics. I'm always looking for new ideas. This is my play space. It's my way of giving back to the community. So let me know what you would like me to create videos on, and I will see what I can do.